community. But the miracle of the Quran is something limited to the Arabic in terms of the language. There are other aspects of the miracle, like the scientific phenomena and that stuff, that can be translated. But just to give you a taste of what I'm talking about. When I first got into this subject, and as I was being raised as a Muslim, I was kind of a skeptic myself. And I heard over and over again that the Quran is an incredible language, unsurpassed language. It's the marvel of literature. And I wasn't a student of Arabic at all. And in high school in this country, I just became curious. I started reading the Quran for myself. And I found actually that it was confusing literature. It was moving from subject to subject, tenses were changing, context was changing, surahs were changing in their historical context. There was a lot of shift. And I didn't understand, because coming from a Western point of view, you have a certain view of how you critique literature, right? Now, when I got into Arabic studies, and I started diving into this question of what makes the Quran miraculous, I started discovering things that literally they overpowered me. And I'm still a student of them. I actually teach a seminar that's traveling the country called Divine Speech. And the entire intent of the seminar is to expose the literary marvel of the Quran to an English-speaking audience without resorting to Arabic. That's the seminar. Now, just one example. The Quran, Muslims believe, is a spoken word, it's not written. We also believe that Muhammad ﷺ didn't have the ability to write. We also know that when he would recite the Quran, there would be dozens of followers and they would immediately memorize what he said, and it would just spread. So there's no editorial process. You can't go back on what you recited. It's gone, it's out there now. You can't take it back. It's kind of like sending an email nowadays, right? Now, just as an example, one phrase in the Quran that's part of a large discussion is the phrase وَرَبَّكَ فَكَبِّرْ. In Arabic it says وَرَبَّكَ فَكَبِّرْ, which means, and declare the greatness only of your Lord. Now recall I said something about a fusion of style and content. The content is beautiful, and it's part of a passage in which the signs of the Lord have been mentioned, the struggle has been mentioned, and then the messenger is being told, declare the greatness only of your Lord. What's interesting is the phrase وَرَبَّكَ فَكَبِّرْ is a palindrome. In other words, it spells backwards and forwards the same way. So the Quran is declaring the greatness of the Lord in a way, in its spelling form, and this is multiple instances in the spoken Quran, that it's actually a linguistic palindrome. Now, when you want to generate a palindrome in English, like race car, or Bob, or dad, or something like that, small one-syllable ones are easy to generate. Maybe a big word is a little harder, but a sentence, it would take you some time to sit down with words that are spelled backwards and forwards and come up with something that, and then even if you do that, your concern isn't your content. What's your concern? The spelling. So the spelling is actually dictating your content. Here you have multiple instances in the Quran where the content hasn't been altered. The content is it flows with the passage, and yet the spelling structure is, it's a palindrome. It's symmetrical, backwards and forwards the same way. And this is not one, these are multiple instances in the Quran, and this is one area of the many areas of the linguistic marvel of the Quran.